The clink of crystal wine glasses reverberated through the private dining room of La Serenata, an elegant restaurant perched atop Seattle's Queen and Hill. It was October 12, 2024, my 40th birthday, and the air buzzed with the warmth of celebration. 30 of our closest friends, art collectors, tech entrepreneurs, old college buddies, raised their glasses in a toast, their faces glowing under the soft amber light of the chandeliers. My husband, Ethan Caldwell, stood beside me, his arm draped around my shoulders with a possessive ease that had once felt comforting. His charcoal suit hugged his lean frame, and the faint silver threading through his dark hair gave him an air of distinguished charm. To the world, we were the quintessential Seattle power couple. He, the charismatic venture capitalist; me, Abigail Wentworth, the gallery director with roots in one of the Pacific Northwest's oldest timber fortunes. To my extraordinary wife, Abigail, Ethan began, his voice smooth and resonant, the kind that could command a boardroom or melt a heart. 40 years young, and still the most brilliant, beautiful woman I've ever known. 12 years together, and I'm more in love with you today than the day we met. His hazel eyes locked onto mine, crinkling at the corners with that familiar, disarming smile. I tilted my head up to meet his gaze, my own smile automatic, trained by years of shared glances and quiet intimacies. The room erupted in applause, glasses clinking again as our guests sipped their vintage Bordeaux. But beneath the polished surface of the evening, something felt off. I couldn't pinpoint it at first, maybe the way Ethan's fingers tapped restlessly against his glass, or how his eyes flicked to his watch every few minutes, a nervous tick I'd never noticed before. I brushed it aside, chalking it up to the champagne fizzing through my veins and the whirlwind of hosting. After all, this was a milestone night, not just for my birthday but for what was coming tomorrow. The activation of my grandmother Eleanor Wentworth's trust fund, a $90 million legacy that had been locked away since her death 20 years ago, waiting for me to turn 40. As the party unfolded, I mingled with our guests, accepting birthday wishes and fielding questions about the upcoming exhibition at the Wentworth Gallery, where I'd been director for nearly a decade. The show, a collection of rare Northwest Coast native art, was set to cement our reputation on the national stage. Abigail, this could be transformative, gushed Margaret Langston, a board member with a penchant for dramatic hats, her third glass of wine sloshing slightly as she gestured. Your family's legacy, your vision, it's unstoppable. I nodded, offering a polite smile, though my attention drifted across the room. Ethan had slipped away from the crowd, his absence a quiet void amid the chatter. Excusing myself, I moved toward the hallway near the restaurant's wine cellar, my emerald silk dress whispering against the hardwood floors. That's when I heard his voice, low, urgent, slicing through the hum of the party like a blade. He was tucked into an alcove, his back to me, phone pressed to his ear. It's all set, Marcus. The papers are ready for tomorrow afternoon. Once the trust activates in the morning, we've got a tight window before she figures it out. I froze, my hand gripping the edge of the wall, breath catching in my throat. Ethan's tone shifted, a bitter edge creeping in. Trust me, after 12 years of playing the doting husband, I've earned this. You have no idea how exhausting it's been listening to her ramble about totem poles and cedar carvings, pretending I give a damn. But $45 million? That makes it worth every second. A short, cold laugh escaped him. The prenup's contestable once the trust kicks in. Washington law gives me grounds after this long. We file immediately, claim irreconcilable differences, and I walk away with half. Marcus, it's foolproof. The words hit me like a physical blow, each syllable unraveling the life I thought I'd built. My stomach churned, the champagne turning to acid. I must have gasped because Ethan stiffened, his head snapping toward the hallway. I ducked into the women's restroom before he could see me, locking myself in a stall as my hands shook uncontrollably. Was this real? Had my entire marriage been a lie, a 12-year con orchestrated for my family's money? I thought of the moments I cherished, our late-night talks, his encouragement during my gallery's lean years, the way he'd insisted we wait to have kids until the timing was perfect. Perfect for what? For this? I splashed cold water on my face, careful not to ruin my makeup, and forced myself back to the party. Ethan was there again, the picture of charm, raising yet another toast. To Abigail's incredible family legacy, may it bring us all new horizons. The double meaning twisted like a knife. I smiled through it, playing my part gracious wife, poised professional while my mind raced, cataloging every oddity I'd dismissed over the years. His sudden interest in my family's financial history, the late-night client calls, the way he'd subtly discouraged me from hiring a private accountant for our joint finances. By the time we returned to our Capitol Hill townhouse, a sleek, modern space I'd funded with my inheritance from my parents' estate, I'd moved beyond shock into a cold, calculating clarity. Ethan popped a bottle of Prosecco in the kitchen, the marble countertops gleaming under the pendant lights he'd chosen during our last remodel. "To us," he said, handing me a glass, his smile as polished as ever. "And to tomorrow." I studied him, searching for cracks in the facade. Was that a glint of triumph in his eyes? A trace of impatience? "You've been quiet tonight," he remarked, loosening his tie. 40 hitting you harder than you expected?" "I've been thinking about Grandma Eleanor," I said, sipping the Prosecco, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "Her legacy, how she built it." Interest sparked in his expression, immediate and unguarded. Eleanor was a genius. That trust structure? Ahead of her time. A fortune like that doesn't just happen, it's protected, cultivated. "She was meticulous," I agreed, holding his gaze. "Always 3 steps ahead. She never left anything to chance." A flicker of something uncertainty crossed his face before he masked it with a grin. "A Wentworth trait, clearly. You've got that same sharpness." He clinked his glass against mine. "To the future." I set my glass down, the clink echoing in the silence. "To the future," I echoed, knowing mine would look nothing like the one he envisioned. Later, as Ethan slept beside me, his breathing deep and untroubled, I slipped out of bed and padded to my study. The room was my sanctuary, lined with books on indigenous art and family photos, anchored by an antique mahogany desk that had been Eleanor's. I pressed a hidden catch beneath the left drawer, revealing a compartment I hadn't touched in years. Inside was a single item, a faded business card for Rachel Kessler, attorney at law, with a handwritten cell number on the back. 8 months earlier, I'd met with Rachel after noticing discrepancies in our joint investment statement, small amounts missing, unexplained transfers. She'd urged caution, suggesting Ethan might be testing my vigilance or hiding something larger. "Men like him don't slip up by accident," she'd warned. I dismissed her then, too in love or too naive to suspect the man I'd married. Now I snapped a photo of the card and returned it to its hiding place, my resolve hardening. Morning arrived with a crisp golden light spilling through our bedroom's floor-to-ceiling windows. Ethan was already up, his phone pinging incessantly from the kitchen. I checked my own device, finding a flood of birthday texts from friends and an email from Wentworth Family Holdings, the entity managing Eleanor's estate. "Dear Abigail Wentworth Caldwell," it read. "Per the terms of Eleanor Margaret Wentworth's trust, we confirm the activation of trust designation W40 Abigail, effective 9 a.m. PST today. As per your prior instructions, all documentation has been delivered via secure courier. Congratulations on this milestone." The doorbell rang, and I watched from the upstairs landing as Ethan bolted to answer it, smoothing his sweater with a practiced casualness that didn't match his eagerness. A courier stood there holding a thick, sealed envelope. "Delivery for Abigail Wentworth Caldwell," the man said. "I'm her husband," Ethan replied, reaching out. "I can sign." "Sorry, sir. Strict instructions, Mrs. Wentworth Caldwell only." I descended the stairs, tying my robe tighter, my voice calm despite the adrenaline surging through me. "I'm Abigail Wentworth Caldwell." The courier verified my ID, handed me the package and left. Ethan hovered, his curiosity palpable. "Birthday surprise from the family?" he asked, his tone light but his eyes fixed on the envelope. "Nothing unexpected." "Want me to take a look with you?" he offered, a faint condescension in his voice. Trust documents can be tricky. I clutched the envelope tighter. "I'll review it privately first." Family tradition. Eleanor was big on personal responsibility. Disappointment flashed across his face, quickly buried under a nod. "Of course. I'll whip up some breakfast. Birthday pancakes sound good." "Perfect," I said, forcing a smile as I retreated to my study and locked the door. Inside the envelope were 3 folders, each labeled with legal precision. The first confirmed the trust's activation. $90 million in assets, timber holdings, real estate, investments now under my control, with stipulations for management and distribution. The second marked contingency provisions, held documents Eleanor and I had crafted in secret during her final months, when pancreatic cancer had confined her to her Bainbridge Island estate. She'd been married twice, her first husband a steady partner who'd helped build the Wentworth fortune, her second a charming leech who'd nearly drained it before she outmaneuvered him. "Never let anyone know your full worth, Abigail," she'd rasped, her voice weak but her eyes fierce. "And always have a back door they can't see." I'd been engaged to Ethan then, giddy with love, and had humored her cynicism, agreeing to her conditions without believing I'd need them. Now those provisions stared back at me, a legal fortress designed to protect me from exactly this betrayal. The third folder, labeled Caldwell Investigation, stopped my breath. It contained a dossier compiled by private investigators Eleanor had hired before her death, continued by the trustees afterward. Page after page detailed Ethan's true intentions, his pre-marriage research into wealthy Pacific Northwest families, targeting me after learning of the trust's 40th birthday activation, years of siphoning funds from our joint accounts into offshore holdings, a standing arrangement with his attorney Marcus Tate to orchestrate high-stakes divorces for profit. Most devastating were the photos Ethan with other women in San Francisco, Portland, Vancouver, always during his unavoidable business trips. The final item was a letter in Eleanor's elegant script, preserved in a plastic sleeve. "My dearest Abigail," it began, "if you're reading this, my fears about Ethan Caldwell have come true, and the trustees have activated the contingency provisions. I take no joy in this foresight. I prayed I was wrong. What you do now is your choice. Confront him, leave him, or forgive him, though I hope you'll choose strength over sentiment. You're a Wentworth first, and we've survived worse than this. The trust is structured to shield you from his schemesh'll find legal walls where he expected open doors. All my love, Grandma Eleanor." Tears pricked my eyes, not for Ethan's betrayal but for the grandmother who'd seen through him when I couldn't. A knock jolted me back to the present. "Abigail, pancakes are ready," Ethan called, rattling the locked handle. "Everything okay in there?" I secured the documents in the desk's hidden compartment, wiped my face, and unlocked the door. "Everything's perfect," I said, meeting his gaze. "The trust activated just as planned." His smile was dazzling, but I saw the greed beneath it now. "Fantastic news. We should celebrate tonight. I've booked us at Canlis." "My treat." "Actually," I said, stepping past him, "I've got plans today. Trust stuff meetings at Wentworth Holdings. Family protocol." His smile faltered. "You didn't mention meetings." "Didn't I?" I kept my tone breezy. Must have slipped my mind with all the birthday chaos. Just signatures, formalities. You know how these old trusts are. "I could come along," he offered too quickly. "Moral support." "Sweet of you, but it's a Wentworth thing. Very traditional. I'm sure you get it." I headed upstairs to dress, feeling his eyes boring into my back, recalculating his next move. I chose a tailored black blazer and skirt, powerful, understated, Eleanor style, and fastened her pearl necklace, a gift from her second divorce victory. Ethan watched from the bedroom doorway as I gathered my things. "You look like you're heading to a negotiation, not a family meeting," he observed, his tone teasing but his eyes sharp. "Wentworth's dress for the legacy, not just the money," I replied, meeting his gaze in the mirror. "Grandma's rule." "Will you be back for dinner?" he pressed. "I can shift Canlis if it runs late." "Don't worry about it," I said, applying lipstick with deliberate calm. "I'll text you when I know my schedule." He followed me downstairs, hovering as I grabbed my keys. "That's all you're taking? No trust papers for the meetings?" Atezza wanted to know where they were, whether he could get to them. "The trustees have copies," I said smoothly. "It's all digital now. Welcome to 2024. His jaw tightened, almost imperceptibly. "Still, originals matter. You should keep them safe." "They're exactly where they need to be," I said, offering a cryptic smile as I slipped into my Range Rover. In the rearview mirror I saw him linger on the doorstep, phone already in hand, texting furiously. Marcus, no doubt. Instead of heading downtown to Wentworth Holdings, I drove north to Medina, a wealthy enclave on Lake Washington's shore. 25 minutes later, I pulled into the driveway of a modern glass and timber home, owned by Rachel Kessler. She met me on the porch, her silver-streaked hair pulled into a low bun, her gray eyes warm but assessing. At 60, she exuded the quiet authority of someone who'd spent decades untangling the messes of Seattle's elite. "Abigail," she said, embracing me briefly. "Happy birthday, though I'm guessing it's been a hell of a ride so far." "You have no idea," I replied, following her into a study lined with legal texts and abstract art. "Thanks for seeing me on zero notice. I've been half expecting this call since we met," she admitted, pouring tea from a sleek pot. "Your grandmother was explicit about the timing." I raised an eyebrow. "You knew about the trust contingencies?" "I helped Eleanor draft them," Rachel confirmed, handing me a cup. "She was my client for 25 years. When she got suspicious of Ethan, she didn't hesitate. I should have pushed you harder last year when we saw those account irregularities." "I wasn't ready to hear it," I said quietly, the weight of my denial settling over me. Rachel's expression softened. "Eleanor knew love can blind us. That's why she built these safeguards. Tell me what happened." I recounted the birthday party, Ethan's overheard call, the morning's document delivery. Rachel listened, jotting notes in a leather journal. "You're sure he's filing today?" she asked when I finished. "Based on what I heard, yes. He thinks the trust activation opens a window to contest the prenup." Rachel's lips curved into a satisfied smile. "Then he's in for a rude awakening. Let me see the contingency docs." I handed her the folder, sipping tea as she reviewed them. "Eleanor was brilliant," she said finally. "This is a double-blind trust. The public trust, the one Ethan thinks activated today, is a decoy. Worth $6 million. Substantial, but a fraction of the real fortune. The actual Wentworth Trust activated on your 39th birthday, silently, under a separate entity. You've controlled it for a year without knowing." I blinked, stunned. "A decoy?" "Exactly. The activation notice, the courier, it was theater, designed to bait him. The real assets, $84 million, are untouchable under the primary trust's marital separation clauses, which override Washington's community property laws." The elegance of Eleanor's strategy left me speechless. "And the investigation?" I asked, nodding to the third folder. "Grounds for criminal charges," Rachel said, flipping through it. "Fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. Ethan's been sloppy, leaving digital trails, recorded calls. We've got him cold." "Criminal charges?" The words felt surreal. I didn't think it'd go that far. "It's your call," Rachel said, her tone firm but kind. "We can go for a clean divorce, cut him off financially, or push for prosecution. Professionally, I'd say secure your assets and end the marriage fast. Personally, I'd make sure he never pulls this on anyone else." Her bluntness drew a shaky laugh from me. "What's our next step?" "First, we lock down your personal assets accounts, heirlooms, digital access. Does he have passwords to your private stuff?" "We share some for household accounts," I admitted. "He set up my laptop backups." "Assume he's got everything," she said grimly. "We'll change all passwords, sweep your devices for spyware. Timing's critical's moving today. We need to preempt him." "How?" "Courts aren't open until Monday." Rachel checked her watch, 10:15 a.m. "Judge Naomi Pierce owes me a favor. She can process emergency filings remotely. With your permission, I'll file for divorce now, citing irreconcilable differences. We'll amend it next week with the fraud evidence." My heart thudded. Do it. While Rachel made calls, I stepped onto her back deck, the lake shimmering below. My phone buzzed with text from Ethan, forwarded through my old number. 10:20 a.m. "How's it going?" 10:45 a.m. "Meeting still on? Let me know when you're home." 11:10 a.m. "Called Wentworth Holdings, no meetings scheduled. Where are you?" 11:25 a.m. "Abigail, answer me. I'm worried." He'd seen through my lie. I typed a vague reply, taking time to think. "Don't wait up," and silenced the phone as another text landed. "What's going on? Call me." Rachel rejoined me, her expression triumphant. "Judge Pierce approved the filing. Ethan will be served by noon. Come back to my place, didn't go home yet. The countdown had begun. By noon, I was at a discreet tech firm in Bellevue, meeting Liam Carter, a digital security expert Rachel trusted. At 38, Liam had the wiry intensity of a hacker-turned-protector, his office a fortress of screens and gadgets. Mrs. Wentworth Caldwell, he greeted me. We're rebuilding your digital life. New phone, laptop, email encrypted beyond anything Ethan's team can crack. For 3 hours we created a new identity untraceable, fortified with military-grade security. He's in finance, Liam noted, configuring my laptop. He'll have top-tier tools. We're going a step beyond. Is this overkill? I asked, watching him work. When someone's chasing $45 million and loses it, they don't play nice, he replied. You're not my first client like this. By 3 p.m., my secure phone buzzed with a message from Rachel. Divorce filing complete. Ethan served at 12:45. He's not happy. Return to my place now, stay off the grid. I drove back to Medina, checking my mirrors for tails, the paranoia now second nature. At Rachel's guest cottage, a cedar-shingled retreat behind her main house, 2 security guards met me, confirming the perimeter was secure. Inside, Rachel waited by a fireplace, her face grim. Ethan's been served. He lost idiot at the process server, claimed it's a mistake. I sank into a chair, exhaustion hitting. My phone buzzed with forwarded texts from Ethan. 1 p.m. This is crazy. Call me now. 1:15 p.m. Divorce papers? What the hell, Abigail? 1:30 p.m. I'm at home. Where are you? This is a misunderstanding. He's trying to reel me back in, I said, showing Rachel. Textbook, she replied. First denial, then demands. Next, he'll play concerned husband to your circle. Who'd he contact first? My sister Lauren, I said, dialing her on the secure line. She answered quickly, her voice bright. Abby, happy birthday again. Lauren, listen, Ethan and I are splitting. I filed for divorce. If he calls, don't tell him anything about me. What? Her shock was palpable. Are you okay? I'm safe. It's complicated. Married me for the trust fund, planned to divorce me today after it activated. I'll explain later, but please keep this quiet. That son of a bitch, she hissed. I've got you, Abby. He won't get a word out of me. I called my Uncle James next, the family's unofficial patriarch, giving him the same rundown. By evening, my inner circle was a fortress against Ethan's reach. At 9:30 p.m., Lauren called back, breathless. Ethan showed up at my place an hour ago, frantic, saying you're having a breakdown, that he's worried sick. I told him I don't know where you are, didn't buy it. Abby, he was unhinged, ranting about millions at stake. I threatened to call the cops before he left. Rachel, overhearing, contacted her security team to tighten the net. He's escalating fast, she said. Desperation makes him dangerous. At 11 p.m., Ethan's final text arrived. Last chance, Abigail. Come home now or you'll regret it. You don't know who you're dealing with. I forwarded it to Rachel. Protective order evidence, she said. Sleep if you can. Tomorrow we fight. Sleep eluded me. I lay awake, clutching Eleanor's necklace, now a locket I'd found in the desk, inscribed. Strength first, justice next, freedom always. By 2 a.m., I was researching inheritance hunters online, finding chilling parallels to Ethan's playbook. Eleanor had known, and she'd armed me for this war. Monday's emergency hearing with Judge Pierce was a blur of legal precision. Rachel presented Ethan's threats, his confrontation with Lauren, the investigation's damning evidence. Judge Pierce issued a 90-day protective order and froze our joint accounts, ordering expedited financial discovery. Ethan's attorney, Marcus Tate, countered with a motion claiming I was unstable, manipulated by greedy advisors, a motion Pierce dismissed outright. Ethan was there, his charm replaced by cold fury. He tried to catch my eye, mouthing, "We can fix this." I ignored him, focusing on Rachel's steady voice. As we left, he stepped into my path. "This isn't over, Abigail. I've got moves you haven't seen." Rachel intervened. "Back off, Ethan, or you're in contempt." He smirked, mentioning Eleanor. "She'd hate to see you puppet like this," but I cut him off. She saw you coming a mile away. That's why you're losing. The next weeks were a chess match. Ethan's team pushed a smear campaign, painting me as erratic, while he tried hacking the trust accounts thwarted by Liam's defenses. He even emailed the gallery board suggesting I step down. They rebuffed him loyal to me. By December, the forensic accountants uncovered $4 million Ethan had siphoned, plus shady dealings at Caldwell Ventures, triggering an SEC probe. His empire crumbled. In the final settlement, he got nothing but his premarital assets, leaving Seattle for a low-rent gig in Nevada. 6 months later, I stood in the Wentworth Gallery, launching an exhibition of women's art. Me triumph. Rachel toasted me that night. To Eleanor, who saw the storm coming, I raised my glass, the locket warm against my skin. I'd survived, secured justice, and now I was free to thrive in my terms, unbreakable.
If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.